Guys, sometimes things happen in life that just don't make sense. And today is one of those days. Somehow, some way, Pokemon Pokopia scored an 89 on Metacritic, which is higher than the 88 that Resident Evil Requiem scored. I shit you not. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video because we're going to get into this. Not only did Pokemon Pokopia score better than Resident Evil Requiem on Metacritic, but Pokemon Pokopia is the highest rated Pokemon game in the history of Metacritic. And before we get into the reviews, let's do a comparison here. So Pokopia got an 89 on Metacritic, Resident Evil Requiem got an 88. What about the rest of the Pokemon games in the series? Well, Pokemon Y got an 88. That's lower. Pokemon White an 87. Pokemon X an 87. Pokemon Sun an 87. Pokemon Soul Silver an 87. Pokemon Moon an 87. Pokemon Heart Gold an 87. Pokemon Black an 87. Pokemon Pearl an 85. Pokemon Diamond an 85. Pokemon Ultra Sun an 84. Pokemon Ultra Moon an 84. We got Pokemon Omega Ruby in 83. It just gets worse, guys. Pokemon Legends Arceus in 83. Pokemon Platinum in 83. Pokemon Alpha Sapphire in 82. Pokemon Ruby in 82. Pokemon Fire Red in 81. Pokemon Leaf Green in 81. Pokemon Black 2 in 80. Pokemon Moonstone Island in 80. Pokemon Sword and Shield in 80. You guys get the picture. How is Pokopia the all-time highest rated Pokemon game? I did not see this coming. How is it rated higher than Resident Evil 9? Well, let's go over some of these reviews, because I am completely stunned right now. So, Game & Mobile gave it a perfect 100, saying there's no one reason why Pokemon Pokopia is so special. This game is the sum of its parts, without a single wink leak in the chain. It's a title that offers a unique spin on a cozy formula, made with all the more magical by a familiarity of this wonderful franchise. Pokemon Pokopia is a true adventure that boasts a refreshing sense of freedom, totally devoid of grind. The experience rewards the curious with heaps of content and offer. You'll be hard-pressed to put it down, and it's certainly a title that we'll be discussing when this year's Game of the Year discussion rolls around. Are you fucking kidding me? There just isn't no way, guys. I'm going to count the perfect scores. Screen Hub with a 100. Screen Rant with a 100. Scylla Cerna with a 100. Tech Radar Gaming with a 100. VGC with a 100. CG Magazine with a 100. Omelette 100. Dextero 100. Gfinity 100. We have... a page isn't loading for some reason. But... Okay, there we go. And then Eurogamer Portugal with the 100. 11 reviewers gave this game a perfect 100. Then it drops to a 91 from there. But my God, Gfinity, they say Pokopia is a 2026 Game of the Year contender that masterfully blends the creative freedom of Minecraft with the cozy charm of Animal Crossing. Okay, I have no fucking interest in Minecraft, in Animal Crossing, with a Pokemon game. I'm confused. I'm genuinely confused how these reviewers came to the conclusion that this game is better than Resident Evil 9. I'm not even a Resident Evil guy. I think this is shameful. This is sickening. This is crazy. This is crazy. Dextero says Pokemon Pokopia reimagines what it means to be a Pokemon, blending cozy building systems with open-ended creativity to deliver one of the most addictive gameplay loops the series has ever seen. This is the highest rated Pokemon ever. Ever! How? Omelette said, Pokemon Pokopia succeeds by shifting the focus from battles to belonging instead of chasing bridges. The player helps rebuild and coexist within the living ecosystem, creating a more intimate and emotional connection to the Pokemon world. It's a reinvention that honors the franchise's roots while proving it can still evolve in meaningful ways. Is this going to replace mainline Pokemon? Like, honestly, this is the best the series has ever done, according to the reviewers. This is like, and out of nowhere, no one was talking about this fucking game. You know, you had Arceus, which is a whole nother way to set up Pokemon. You had the mainline games. This comes out of nowhere. All the Pokemon games you ever had, this comes out of nowhere and punches an 89 on Metacritic. I'm shocked. I'm in total freaking shock. I mean, CG Magazine with their 100 says Pokemon Pokopia is one of the most robust, cozy games to date, essentially meddling two Nintendo franchises into one rich content whole that should keep fans plenty busy. VGC with their 100 said Pokemon Pokopia is an excellent life simulation game that takes the best bits from the champions of the genre and evolves into something that Pokemon fans and cozy game fans will love. Oh my God. Games.ch with a 91 says, in some areas, the progression system could benefit from a bit more transparency, allowing players to work towards specific goals more effectively. However, thanks to its charming atmosphere, numerous freedoms, a completely stress-free and accessible gameplay, and of course the Pokemon themselves, Pokemon Pokopia has become a wonderful, cozy game. Why? Why are people valuing cozy, easy, free-flowing games? Do you want to call it games? Is this even a game? You know what I mean? What is this? Game Informer with a 90 says, despite my minor complaints, Pokopia sticks out as one of the best examples of a third-party developer using Pokemon license to the fullest extent possible. I'm not reading every review. I cannot sit here and watch them glaze this. I'm skipping around. There is a ton of 90s here. IGN's 90. They say, Pokemon Pokopia is a real treat. An enjoyable building and town simulator that capitalizes on the charming personalities of its monsters in a way that appeals to both the creative and collector alike. It's packed with fun things to do, like what? Worthy rewards for doing them, and strikes a healthy balance between freedom and suggestion in its building mechanics. Wow. I'm looking at all these. There's so many 90s, guys. There's a load of 90s. We do have an 89 from Area Jungus, which matches the Metacritic score. They say Pokemon Pokopia represents a sublime transition of Pokemon's core themes into the settlement management genre. It features an overwhelming amount of content and countless customization possibilities. Vandal, also an 89, says, but has a Pokemon game, it's simply incredible. It's not a Pokemon game aimed at those who enjoy only battles, but rather at anyone who loves the saga's universe and the challenge of catching them all. It's a video game that exudes nostalgia, affection, and knowledge of Pokemon. Wow. I can't believe this is happening, guys. This is like the shock of the year. If you had asked me before this game came out, oh, what would Pokopia score? I'd probably say 70 on Metacritic. You know, we got some 88s. We got an 87 there. Sorry, I'm scrolling. It's loading slow. We got an 86 from COG Go Connected. We got a couple 85s. 84 from Mara Station says Pokemon Pokopia is a great spinoff, full of content. It's a very interesting twist of the Pokemon formula, now in the builder's side. GameStar with an 83. Nintendo Life with only an 80. That's a shock. Let's see what they said. Pokemon Pokopia is the freshest Pokemon experience in a long time, bursting at the seams with charm and content that rewards both curiosity and creativity. It's an easy game to get swallowed up in, even with a few gameplay and progression issues that need to be ironing out, but has a first go of something different in the franchise. It's a big win. I don't know how Pokemon has stayed away from this kind of structure for so long, and I'd easily take a dozen more. Fuck my life! They're going to make this Pokemon from now on. One of the pillars, it's going to be one of the pillars for Pokemon. They're probably going to kick Arceus out, honestly. Seriously. Saudi Gamer with an 80, GameSurf, Radio Times with 80s, a 75 from MGG. We have two mixed reviews. One's a 70 from Game Cult, saying Pokemon Pokopia met our expectations even if it's not perfect. It does have a repetitive aspect inherent to the game, which won't appeal to everyone, and some technical issues that can become annoying over time. However, if you enjoy relaxing atmospheres and don't want to overthink things, there's a good chance this game will easily satisfy you, if you're willing to pay the price, because in terms of playtime, you'll definitely get your money's worth. And the Gamer was the low review here with a 60. That probably prevented it from getting a 90 overall, saying, there is a fun time to be had here, but ultimately Pokemon Pokopia doesn't explore the Pokemon side of the world and offers building quests that are mostly rigid and repetitive, as ever with Pokemon. There is enough charm to see through it, and the mechanics aren't shallow even if they're used in aid of the same few tasks over and over again. So guys, I don't know what to tell you. I do not know what to tell you. We thought maybe for a while Resident Evil 9 would be the top score on Metacritic for most of the year. That didn't even last a week. Pokopia's come in and outdone RE9, and they've outdone every other Pokemon in the series. So that's where we're at. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, but for now, this is RJ signing out. I need to go take a nap.